John. It was an iconic department store in downtown Johnstown. Do you remember Glosser Brothers? We got some pictures to show you in just a bit. But first, there is a book out now about this wonderful store, Christmas at Glosser's, and it is by one of our favorite authors, making a return appearance now, Robert Jeschonek. Hi, Bob. It is great to see you.
It's always great to see you, Dawn.
This is amazing. Glosser's. I mean, that is just, you know, it's like, you know, you watch The Miracle on 34th Street and everybody thinks Macy's. That was our Macy's in Cambria County, wasn't it? Kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was that kind of a place. It was just special for so many people, and especially at the holiday time of year, because they had the windows decorated. They had big decorations on the outside of the building, and it was the place to go for anybody in Cambria County. Sort of like, I think, Gables in Altoona.
Right.
Very similar.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember about it?
Well, the main thing I remember is the smell of roasted nuts, peanuts and cashews, because as soon as you'd walk in the door of that store, that smell would just hit you. It would just wrap around you like a blanket. And it was just, that's the main thing. Like if you talk to people who spent a lot of time in Glosser's, that's one of the things that they would say right off the bat. And then, of course, the decorations and the crowds and all the wonderful things that you could buy, the wonderful gifts, the toy department up on the 4th floor, which was just loaded with all the good stuff. It was a wonderful place.
Is that all of your memories? Did they inspire you to write this book?
Yeah, absolutely, because every year my wife and I would talk about Glosser's and how much we missed it, and would say, I wish we could go back there. And we'd talk to other people and they would say the same thing about how great the place was and what good memories they had. And then finally, over the years, I just built up this idea in my mind of writing something, and this year I finally sat down and wrote a book.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us about the book. You got it in your hand there.
I do. Christmas at Glosser's. And like I said, I finally sat down and put it together this year. And it's a fiction story. It's a fantasy, a Christmas story. And it involves a little boy who wants to know where his grandfather disappears to every Christmas Eve. So he follows him, and he ends up going into Glosser's and ends up taking a tour of the store. So you get to see a little bit of everything in the store. And then there's a secret involved, and actually it turns into a kind of a challenge for the little boy. He has to make a decision that could affect the future of the entire city.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like a great story as you're telling it. I'm wanting to read it. That's very cool. The book also has a personal connection to you, correct?
Yeah, it does, because one of the main characters, the grandfather who I mentioned, is based on my own maternal grandfather, Bernard Heinrich, who was a longtime Johnstown resident. He was a Johnstown native and a steel worker, and he's no longer with us. But by writing him into the story, I was able to bring him back in some way and to sort of just feel a little bit closer to him at this time of year. And plus, he was such a great character in real life. He was very boisterous and gregarious, and so he made a great figure for the story.
Yeah, and before we even started the show, we were just talking, chit-chatting, and talking about personal, people in your life. And you can get personal experiences and maybe write about those experiences and the people, I guess, through their eyes or something, and that would make it easy, I would think, maybe.
Yeah, it's a great way. We're always talking about the writers writing and the many writers in the making among your viewership, people who want to write books. And that's really a great way to start off a character, is with somebody you know. Use that person as the basis of the character. And you can use as much or as little of that person as you like. But it's a really great exercise and a great shortcut to try to get to a character that you know and love and want to write about.
Is it strange, though, to be writing about someone you know that he didn't actually do these things? It's half fiction and half true, I guess, when you're thinking of the person. But is it kind of odd to make up what they would do?
Yeah, well, not really. He just sort of took on a life of his own, because I knew him so well, and he spent so much time in that store. I mean, I used to walk with him there many days. He lived in downtown Johnstown for a long time, in the townhouse towers. And we used to walk over to Glosser's a lot and spend a lot of time there. So it was just a natural for him. Yeah,
and recently, I think it was Ameriserve Bank that bought the old holiday windows, and now they refurbished them and kind of bringing it all back to life there. And we're taking a look at some of the video that WTAJ News shot when they unveiled that.
Pretty
love
cool,
that. Huh?
That is so great, because I remember those displays from childhood. And those are some of the coolest that were in those windows. So I'm just so glad that they've come back. And then I think they also did some artwork on the windows recently as well.
Yeah, it's just amazing to really look back at that. Do you think that this kind of brings inspires people to be nostalgic, and, does it say a lot for who we are now? We want to go back to the past and remember that?
Absolutely. It represents kind of a simpler time in some ways, and a different time, and kind of a sweeter time in a lot of ways, I think, as far as the holiday season.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of people like to take a look back and think about where we've been and where we're going. And it's interesting because we look back now at glossers and we say, oh, that was so wonderful, and we feel such nostalgia for it. But these days, people are developing different nostalgic attachments.
That's true.
Maybe someday they'll be looking back at Twitter or Facebook and saying, oh, I missed that so much.
A long time off,
Yeah.
maybe. Well, Bob, thank you so much, as always, for sharing. We'd love to have you back anytime.
Thank you.
And we do have places to get your books on
Yeah.
our website. It's centralpatv.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amazon?
Yes, Amazon.com, Books A Million in the Johnstown Galleria.
Cool.
And,
All right.
and also, I know you're a writer, and that's the one thing I want for Christmas. I just wanted to tell you, I want chapter 1 of your novel in my
Oh, my
stocking,
goodness.
AKA my email inbox.
Okay, we'll
So you need to
see.
write that and send it by December 24th.
All right, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'll work on it. Still to come on Central PA Live. We're getting festive in today's 2 cents. Hair, nails, outfits you have to see to believe.